been through the tape from last week, the third term, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, as we do every week. I mean, it was a really, really positive review. To be honest, on Monday traditionally I think most teams are the same. When you have things that positive reinforcement's really good. When things go well, you can reinforce those things. But we often learn a lot more from some poor periods of play. And I think the range of mistakes that we made in the third quarter was a bit of a concern, because they're very difficult things to fix when you're making a lot of varied mistakes like we did. There wasn't one simple root cause of the third quarter, but there are a lot of things that built up to being a really poor period of play. But we've had a really good opportunity to have. We've had an 8-day break, so we've had another couple of sessions on the track than we normally have, and it's given us a great opportunity not only to review those things, but to do some work on them.
Was it good on yourself, do you think, Brad, when you get in that situation where a team's on a bit of a run, that pressure causes some of those mistakes?
Oh no, we didn't think pressure had too much to do with it. As the Swans kicked quite a few goals in the third quarter, potentially our guys probably tried to do too much, rather than just going back to the basics of simple footy and defending in a hard-nosed fashion. And there's a fair bit of it too. I mean, McGlynn, McVeigh, they kicked some very good goals. Jetta, they were in really good position. They won good one-on-one contests, and we didn't defend well enough. So sometimes you can overcomplicate it, and in the cold light of day in our review, our players walked away very, very clear in their minds as to what we had to fix. And we started that process on the track yesterday and had a really good session, and we'll have another good session today. So I'm confident in the coachability of our group that we'll rectify those things, because the truth of the matter is 80 or 90% of things are going really, really well. And the exciting thing is that if we fix up some of those areas that are costing us, we think we're a pretty capable footy side.
There's no doubt you've been competitive in winning positions in the last 3 rounds. Is there a real belief and confidence going into this one?
Yeah, there is. I mean, we always do our best to focus on the facts, what's actually being presented before us, and not get, we're really focused on not getting carried away with really good wins and not getting down the dumps with some poor results. But what the facts are telling us is that we're doing a lot of things really well, that the vibe, the risk is that the morale of the group starts to drop because you're not getting reward for your results. But for us, the type of footy we're playing is giving us great confidence, and we've been exposed by some very, very good sides through small patches of games. And if we'd played inferior teams and got away with wins, potentially it papers over a few cracks that may become evident later in the season. So we've got the opportunity to address those things now, and we think it'll hold us in really good stead for the rest of the season.
0-3 in such a tight competition for those spots between maybe 5 to 12, is that something that may hurt you come later on here?
No, well, that time will tell. But it's a lot harder for you guys to believe me when I say I'm not overly concerned about that at this early stage of the year. I'm more concerned about the type of footy we're playing. If we were 3-0, you'd probably believe me a bit more. But we think that if you look at the ladder, you look at probably sides didn't expect. Other sides didn't expect Port Adelaide to be 3-0. We certainly didn't expect Carlton to be 0-3. West Coast to be 1 win, 2 losses. So things will, like any stat, like any trend, you need a bigger sample size. Now we can sit here and say we played some pretty good footy, but the reality is we are 0-3. But we're not going to get back to an even keel or back to an even ledger by just talking about the good footy we've played. We've got to put it together over a consistent 4 quarters, and the confidence in our group is that if we do that, we think we'll be in a pretty good spot.
But as far as your season as a whole, you're saying you actually think it's better that we play these sides now rather than playing some weaker sides and say being 3-0?
No, I'd be an idiot to say that I'm happy being 0-3, and I'd love to be 3-0. But we are where we are. In terms of our improvement as a footy side, I do think it is a good thing that we're not kidding ourselves. We're not You know, if we played inferior sides and we were 3-0, you know, the risk is that we'd be getting carried away on the upside. You know, we'd be fighting, in a way, a similar sort of battle and trying to keep our players level. And, you know, I haven't had to do any work this week on keeping morale up. The players, you know, are really confident in what they're doing. They're really disappointed at the lapses they've had, and they're determined to fix it. So that certainly helps me as coach when I've got, you know, a group of players who are really determined like our guys are.
Brad, the big three blokes down on the forward line have probably been a bit quiet by their standards of last year. How much of that's down to the delivery they've been getting?
Yeah, I think. Look, I'm not disappointed with the output, Nick. I think the guys, they're averaging 4.5 goals a game between them. You know, and Lindsay Thomas is averaging 4. So, you know, in terms of scoring power of our forwards, I think it's as potent as ever. It could be a lot more potent if our delivery was better. There's no doubt about that, and that's one of the things we've had a close look at this week. And we thought we made a significant change from round 1 against Collingwood to round 2 against Geelong. And again, it just gives me confidence that when we identify some things that need to evolve and we need to tweak up in our game, our players implement it pretty well straight away. So I think the delivery will be better this week.
So the guys waiting on the periphery like Majak and Aaron Black still probably not quite able to push their way in?
Well, it's close. Aaron Black, I mean, we're really in the fortunate or unfortunate position, depending on which perspective you're coming from, that we think the next 3 players, arguably, to come into our side have very good players ahead of them. Dan Curry, Majak Daw, Aaron Black, you know, are really knocking the door down to get a spot in the senior side. But you know, unless we significantly restructure our side, it's very difficult to get them in at the moment. But you know, they're certainly holding their end up in pushing for selection. And if we have, you know, the slightest drop off, you know, they'll come in and take someone's spot. So that's a good situation for us.
Liam Anthony, is he looking like coming back?
Yeah, if he trains well today, he trained okay yesterday, and he's likely to be available. But you know, we're 0-3, but we've got selection dilemmas, so I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I suppose, yeah, Brisbane's been a little bit mixed, but they've got the unity to concentrate all the way through against them, and they've got the sort of the potential to kick some goals quickly as well. Yeah,
no, I've been really impressed with their form through the NAB Cup, and they haven't had the start to the season that they would have liked and probably expected. But you know, just like we knew the Swans would come out and play the type of footy that a premiership side plays, when everyone was saying that had a soft start to the year and played, you know, the Gold Coast and GWS and had some, by their standards, pretty uninspiring wins. But the third quarter they produced, you know, was outstanding. Now we expect Brisbane to produce the sort of footy they're playing in the NAB Cup, and we've got to be at our best to make sure that they can't do that. And you know, we've certainly got to hurt them going the other way.
Johnny Brown back in form last week with 5 goals.
Yeah, he's always in form against us. He's just a super player, isn't he? So it's going to take a really good defensive effort, you know, to stop him. And you know, I think last week, Grimer and Thompson, Frito did a terrific job for us. You know, they're very underrated defenders. I think Scotty Thompson's, you know, really pushing up into that elite bracket of key defenders in the competition now. Doesn't get the credit he deserves, but you know, he kept his opponent goalless again on the weekend. So you know, he'll be one of those guys who gets the job, but it's always a big one when you're playing Brownie.
Will Sierakowski, is he getting close to senior birth now?
Yeah, he had a really good game for Werribee, 26 possessions, 3 goals, and again, Will's another one who falls into the category of probably deserving of an opportunity, but there are some players who play his position and his type of role that are probably still that bit ahead of him. So, you know, I think it's an unfortunate position to have 4 or 5 players that probably should come into our side, but there's not a role for them right at the moment. So, you know, it's a real challenge, and we've got the choice to make. Do we restructure and bring players in form in, you know, or do we stick with our structure and make the players fight out for those positions?
How's Majak been coping with the fact that, you know, he got his first game in the pre-season, there's so much hype surrounding anything or everything he does, and then he said, yeah, I want round 1, and you've lost your first 3, and you're obviously still telling him you have to be patient and keep waiting. How does he cope with that?
Yeah, he knows where he's at. What we do as coaches is we give him really good feedback, and we make things very, very clear to him. He's got some things that he needs to improve on in his game. He's playing really good footy in the VFL, but he's not playing footy that is saying you have no choice but to pick me. I mean, Majak hasn't at this point put together a game in the VFL where he's given me no choice but to bring him in. So, and he's got a couple of things in his game which he's working really hard on. But the hype, Madge's got really good at dealing with all that. I mean, the hype is largely external. He knows exactly where he sits internally, and it's a bit like our club's focus. We focus on the facts. Well, Majak is focusing on the facts at the moment. He knows exactly what he has to do to force his way into our side, and he hasn't quite done that yet, but he's very, very close. I mean, we haven't named him as an emergency for the last few weeks because it looks good. I mean, if something happens to a key position player, he's probably the next one in, so he's very close.